Hello and welcome to the Weekend Winners Royal Ascot Preview Show in association with BetVictor. We're going to look ahead to the pick of the action from the first 4 days at Royal Ascot, being joined in the studio by suited and booted Declan Rix, looking smart for the occasion.
Well, it's a big preview. It's a big preview in a big week, so I'm looking forward to it.
Didn't you miss the tie though?
Yeah, it didn't want to peak too soon. So,
No.
yeah, I've gone smart cash.
This is the precursor, isn't it, ahead of next week? But you're not going to go for the top hat and tails this year.
No, it's just...
One year will get you. Just 1 year will get you.
Yeah, maybe. Just it seems like such a massive effort, so... Just give me a normal suit, it'll be grand, it'll be all right.
As long as your effort is channeled into previews and tipping up winners, that is all
exactly.
we care about.
Nobody cares what you're wearing as long as you're tipping winners. So we hopefully we can follow in last weekend's nap. Jungle is massive, did the business.
Of course, yeah.
So got a few shekels in the old Royal Ascot bank. So hoping for a good week. I'm buzzing. I'm really excited about it. So
the one also should have remembered that you tipped off as well.
Yeah.
After saying, yeah, Jungle is massive on repeat, that it was great to see him go in. So hoping that it will continue into this week. Now, you may have noticed Sam Boswell is not with us because he is in Germany at the World Cup of Darts. So great to see you, Sam. I'm pleased that you're joining us all the same. Friday the 13th, but lucky for you though, because you're in a great spot.
Yeah, hiya Kate, hiya Rixie, here in Germany. Yeah, the BetVictor World Cup of Darts, we kicked off yesterday evening. If you're watching this Friday, it was absolutely fantastic. Do try and tune in throughout the weekend. The seeds turn up on Saturday and you get to see Luke Littler and Luke Humphreys playing together. But hopefully we can start chatting all about Royal Ascot. I'm looking forward to swapping double tops for double hats. Top hats, I should say, shouldn't I? Ruin that pun, but there we go. And Declan Rix, we will get you in full Royal Ascot attire. If you want the show to be back next year, I think I'm going to put it in the contract. I can't have you not dressed up with a top hat next year.
Nobody needs to see me looking like the Penguin. It'll be all right.
If Sam's doing it, then every year.
Look, if you're willing to pay me to do, I'll do whatever. You know, I'm easily bought, like.
Oh, very much so, exactly. Sell your soul straight away.
Exactly.
You've not sold your soul, though, with the At The Races website just yet?
Yes. Oh, like obviously I'm very, very biased, but we've done like for all the big events, we obviously do like a big website, and we've done one for Royal Ascot. And look, it's an unbelievable form tool. As we say, the app is free, the website is free. You've got stats guides for every single race on there. There'll be horse to follow, betting angles in there. Simon Rowlands has done stuff on the clock. There's literally so much on there, I can't even remember half of it, but it's a really good resource. Make sure you go on and visit it. It will hopefully point you the way to many a winner next week. So, yeah, and it's sponsored by...
BetVictor!
There we go.
Ta-da! There you go. Right, lads, we've managed to tick a whole load of boxes in the intro there. So pressure is off now, just the main event of the actual racing itself. But, of course, before we get into the action, a reminder, as ever, to please do gamble responsibly. Our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction. Right, we're going to begin on the Tuesday, day one, with the 2:30, the first race, the Group 1 Queen Anne Stakes, 4-year-olds and over a mile. So just a top-quality curtain raiser. We have the first four from the Lockenge re-opposing here, Deck.
Yeah, look, it's a competitive race. I think, obviously, we haven't got the draw and the full field yet and the pace and all that. And I think it's just going to be a case of whoever the race sets up best for and turns up in the day is going to win. But I'm with Lead Artist. I'm not sure I agree completely with that market. You know, there's too much emphasis on Lead Artist having a run ahead of the Lockenge, being... kind of infiltrated in that market. And look, we shouldn't forget, you know, that was a big career best from Lead Artist. He's got an unbelievable Judmont pedigree. He's by Dubawi, you know, from the family of Banks Hill. We've mentioned it before. Anybody who watched the Lockenge preview can go back and rattle off all the names there with the pedigree. The thing I loved about him as well is his physique. John Gosling was speaking about his physique on Sky Sports Racing this week, and he said, you know, his typical son of Dubawi carries plenty of condition. I always think those types of horses you can get plenty of work into them and they thrive on the racing. So he's a top team trained by a brilliant trainer, got a wonderful pedigree, owned by like one of the biggest owners in the game. What's to say he cannot step forward again and have another career best at a track that I would argue will probably suit him even better, putting more emphasis on stamina. So what a way it's going to be to kick off the new job for Colin Keane. Hope he can just get some cover on this lad and have him there just in behind the leaders, and hopefully he can go on to win.
And of course you tipped him up to win the Lockinge as well. Let's not forget that. So sticking with him gladly.
That's
here.
the only reason I wanted to put him up again, just so you mentioned that.
Just sound the trumpet once again there. But yeah, he didn't let you down on that day. Had a big price.
And he was a massive gamble that day. We shouldn't forget.
Yes.
22s into, was it 7s? I can't remember.
You got on the early prices.
So
who cares?
yeah, no, exactly. So that suggested that he'd taken a big step forward. And like I say, what's not to say he can't step forward again?
Deck is staying loyal then with lead artist Sam. Who you siding with?
Oh, look, it's a great race to kick us off, isn't it? And I think this is how every racing festival should be, top loaded at the start of the meeting. And this is an absolutely brilliant renewal of this if we get all the likely contenders to show up. But I'm really unoriginal here. I'm going to put my faith that Rosalian will step forward for that run at Newbury. I'd love to have sort of perhaps had a few more comments from connections prior to the run that maybe the suggestion was that he would need it. But he's a great horse, isn't he, when you look back at what he achieved last season. I'm really convinced that he will go on again this year. I think he'll step forward for that run against lead artist and actually having the run under his belt. The quicker the ground's not going to be an issue either. It's going to be, his record on good to firm doesn't concern me one little bit in comparison to maybe a few in here. But I just think looking at the overall picture of the race, I think he's the right favourite. How short he'll be depends what else turns up in the race, but I'd like to see that sort of market confidence really solidify. Seen a shock or two, haven't we, in this race over the years? If I was trying to find something at a bit of an each-way price, must confess my international form's probably not strong enough to be too convincing on an argument, but I thought it's really curious that obviously now in the care of Kira Mile, Carl Spackler comes here, another horse that will be absolutely fine if we do get what looks like it to be fantastic weather at Royal Ascot, and I thought maybe that might be one I'd play in Declan's favourite market without the favourite each way potential.
There you go, Deg. Your favourite market being
It's only
flagged
taken
up there.
about 150 episodes, but I finally got you where I want you.
He's finally got him there. But yeah, the weather is going to be hot though. So maybe it might be a sensible decision that you're not going to go top hat and tails in the end there, as Sam's just mentioned, where it does look as though it's going to set to be glorious weather for all of us at Royal Ascot. So what the ground's going to do on the first race on the first day, it's kind of anyone's guess at this stage. But I'm with Sam though, where I'm hoping that likely favourite backers will get off to an absolute flyer with Rosalian here as well, where I too am hoping he's going to take that step forwards from the Lockinge, where he wasn't beaten all that far, 2.5 lengths into third. First start for 11 months, and he just shaped as though it was needed. The way that he travelled into the race, which was the real key part you were looking for, because you just wanted to see, does he still retain all of the ability that he had? And just by the manner that he travelled into the contest would suggest that he did, before he did just slightly tie up, getting tired late on against those battle-hardened rivals that he was contending with. Of course, the winner of the St James's Palace last season, notable speech, disappointed as favourite in that, and with the 2,000 guineas form being reversed, as we know as well. So all of that ability, if he just replicates that again here, then I thought he was the one to beat. So Sam and I with Rosalian, you lead artist.
Yeah, I'm with lead artist, yeah.
Parfait. Right, on to the next contest then. The 3:40 on the first day of a Tuesday of Royal Ascot. The Group 1 King Charles III Stakes for the 3-year-olds and over 5 furlongs. Last year's winner, Asphora, back to defend her crown. So, Sam, is that the key piece of form here?
Yeah, I think so. And maybe I've spent too much time with Simon Whitlock and Damien Heta here, the Australian duo that represent them in the World Cup of Darts, because I think she's an unbelievable price. That's a dreadful Australian accent. We'll put that straight in the bin. I
didn't pick up on it, to be honest.
I think we should put. I think we should be seeing her as market favourite here, and I'd kind of expect that maybe she'll just get the nod over Believing when it comes to that. Obviously, we're watching last year's race where a number of these contenders were there, and I just think at the moment the UK side of this division is perhaps a little bit weaker than we're used to.
Come on, call it as it is. It's absolutely terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, Declan, let's leave our diplomatic top hat on for a moment, because I think we just need to represent, first of all, fair play for connections, because obviously it's a big effort to travel these horses. It adds so much to the meeting. I'm just, I'm already seeing Oisin Murphy retaining the ride. Obviously, we got to see plenty of her last year because she stayed over, didn't she? Had that run prior at Haydock. That was in soft ground. Still managed to obviously come here and win. Won't have had such a recent prep run, which I suppose is slightly different, but obviously signed off with a couple of efforts in April back home. And I just really think she should have the measure of these, if we're being completely honest. I know some people might point to the efforts at Goodwood and York, but I think this is going to be the real target. quicker the ground, the better. I kind of just think she'll end up being favourite, and I'm not really believing at this stage to be the market leader.
I agree with Sam. I think she should be fav. She's the only anti-post bet I've had ahead of Royal Ascot this year. But look, it's a really competitive race. It looks like we're going to have a massive field. 5 furlongs. You need everything to go right. The draw, the pace. But look, we shouldn't forget that we watched the video of her winning last year. Now, we love having our Aussie mates and our international raiders, but she wanted full value for her money at Ascot last year. She went on a sightseeing tour of the track. Like a run, you've surely got to upgrade, given the amount of ground she gave away coming from the stand side, drifting into the middle and still managing to win well. As Sam alluded to there, a different prep this year, but we got some lovely pictures and video of her from her trainer, is it Henry Dwyer, on social media this week, and I thought she looked great. She looked for a mare who just travelled all the way from Australia, she looked great in her skin. She looked nice and fresh, and they're going to put first-time blinkers on as well, I think, so that could spark a little bit more out of her. So as long as she gets a little bit of luck with the draw and around the right horses, she should absolutely be favoured for me, and she'd be one of my better bets of the week.
It's a good point that you make there about how she looks this time around, because I always go, even if, when I'm not working, to Royal Ascot on the first day, and always do the beeline between the pre-parading out to the grandstand, because I just want to see these horses in person, and went to go and see her specifically because I love seeing how the Aussies look in person.
Yeah.
And she did not look great. She really didn't. You would never have picked her paddock pick then to go to the race itself. She was really woolly. She had this long mane, and she didn't look fantastic at all. She's
travelling up Australian. It will be autumn winter time, won't it? So,
and she was carrying that winter coat through last year, so it's good that you've seen the pictures and videos of her. So it's good that you mentioned that, and I'm with her as well, just to complete the hat-trick here as well, where it just doesn't look any stronger a renewal, does it, than this race last year. And of course, last year, as you've said, she's definitely got a different prep this time round, but she did peak for Ascot last year, where she reversed the Temple Stakes for Mercurdos, who finished 5th at Royal Ascot. Now, she did drift a little bit to her right, as you say there, but she's just got that great attitude, deserved first success at the highest level as well. So last year, of course, she had the winter in Australia, went to Haydock in May before going to Royal Ascot. So she was very much fit and firing. This time around, just had the 2 runs in spring in Oz and 2 months since her last run. But that is really the only question mark. And I just don't think she's got a challenger to beat her. If she runs to the same form as last year, yes, she's a 6-year-old now, but with sprinters, they can hold their form, if not better it, and get faster as they get older as well. So
if she runs to the same level she did last year, I think she'll win.
Yeah, exactly. So all 3 of us then think that she is the wrong price.
The triple penalty.
Oh, there you go. Exactly. Yeah. Who would have thought it? So as for it, for the 3 of us, and I think she was about 5 to 1. Was she there? So decent price as well.
Yeah, if the draw comes up good, I could see her going off 3s, maybe 7 to 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she did go favourite, to be fair, in the end, when we do get the draw coming through. Right, on to the 420 now, the St James's Palace Stakes for the 3-year-olds over Armagh. A clash of the 3 Guineas winners, with Irish 2,000 Guineas hero Field of Gold heading the betting, just like his dad Kingman, who was beaten at Newmarket before winning at the Curragh and then winning at Royal Ascot, hopefully. Well, potentially. Sam, is he going to do exactly that?
Yeah, Royal Ascot, we know, incredibly competitive racing. We don't get many odds-on shots. It's exactly how a racing festival should be. But Field of Gold will be one of the short prices that I think punters are going to be rewarded with. I think they'll have Fields of Golds to go home to, because, frankly, I think he is the best horse in here. We could probably go around in circles talking about the Guineas at Newmarket, couldn't we? The dip, the ride, all that kind of thing. I think we should just focus really, though, on the fact that he did showcase, I think, at the Curragh, what a brilliant racehorse he is. Obviously, back to winning ways there under Colin Keane that day. And he'll obviously have the ride, with the news that he is obviously going to be taking all those judgment rides. Good news for him. Fair play. Best of luck to him in that job. I'm struggling to decide what price I'll obviously continue to want to back the horse at. A shades of odds on, we'll obviously get it. I think the bookmakers will probably give you a bit of value on the day. It's probably one to wait for now. But I just think assessing the race, I just don't. I really do respect what Ruling Court did in that Guineas, but I do think it was such a good ride from William Buick. He obviously got the run there on them. I think it's really interesting, obviously, having not run at Epsom. How much of an issue that could be? Obviously, a last-minute change of plan. We know how finely tuned these animals are. I think I'd have that as a negative in the sense that this wasn't always the plan. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh there. Maybe I shouldn't really factor that in too much, but it does come into my thinking, and it makes me really want to side with Field of Gold here. An unoriginal pick, but I think he's the class animal in the race.
I will join you with the unoriginality for what it's worth. Where, yeah, as you say, Sam, about 4 to 5. At that price, I'm willing to sit on it and hope that I am just going to be given a little bit of a carrot dangled by bookies on the day if we get all the horses turning up that we are currently expecting to. But yeah, Field of Gold just to prove his worth. And as you were just saying, Sam, I am really concerned as well about Ruling Court, who of course skipped the Derby, as we know, due to the ground. But I always have a concern when a horse skips an intended target, and not just a target, the biggest flat race of them all, to be able to train a horse to peak for the Derby and then to turn around, 10 days later and to peak again, even with him not getting the run. But when you bring a horse to the boil in that way and then to ease off them without them exerting that energy in a race and then to have to go again, especially when you're dealing with young in tyres, it's not an easy thing to do whatsoever. Charlie Appleby, phenomenal trainer, as we all know. Yeah. But he's going to have to be at his brilliant best to be able to get Ruling Court to peak again here. So, yeah, Field of Gold. And as you say there, with the benefit of hindsight, I'm not going to jump on this bandwagon at all about the Guineas run at Newmarket. But we just couldn't tell that he wasn't going to pick up out of a dip like he did in the Craven. And he did obviously prove just how talented he is in the Irish Guineas last time out. And I'd expect him to prove again that he is the better horse on the day than the rest of these. So Field of Gold for the pair of us too. Yeah.
No, I'm not going to make it a trio again. I think the race is a little bit more competitive than the market suggests. Just after the 2000 Guineas, I was really struck by Charlie Appleby's comments saying about Ruling Court. I think I can have him better. So I think obviously on the day, Field of Gold shaped like the best horse in the race. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But it's interesting to note Charlie Appleby's comments after the race. But I think Henry Matisse has been a little kind of underrated here. I do, yeah. It feels like even the genius of Aidan O'Brien has struggled to work him out a little bit. Remember they had a visor on him last year as a 2-year-old. They were trying different things, but I think they've really got to grips with them now. And, I was just going back through some sectional data from when he won the French 2000 Guineas and comparing it to what Field of Gold did at the Curragh. He actually reached a higher top speed than Field of Gold did at the Curragh. Now, obviously, different grounds, different tracks. You've got to put that into your mix. But the way he picked up this day and ran on, and just watch now here when he gets to the front. I think once he gets to the front, this guy, look how quick he's going past some proper horses there like John Call. Once he gets to the front, I think he does bare minimum, and you just wonder where could the ceiling be. And I see enough in his sectional data to suggest that he could give the odds-on favour the race. And Sam won't thank me for saying this now, but I think he's a lovely, filthy each-way anti-post bet. Because I think this race will cut up. I think you could potentially have maybe 7 or 8 or 7 or less runners, maybe. So he could get the each-way value there. And the other thing I wanted to say about Henry Matisse was, I've just forgotten.
Was it a pedigree? Was it a pedigree point by any chance?
No, it wasn't pedigree related. Oh, that was it. Ruling Court was obviously a 2000 Guineas winner who's going to run in the Derby. And I think a lot of people who've been watching Field of Gold run, they've always said he could be even better over 10. But straight after the French 2000 Guineas, Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore both said, nah, pure miler. We could go further with him if we want, but he's a pure miler, and that French Guineas form was obviously boosted by Camille Pissarro a couple of weekends ago as well. So at the prices, I think Henry Matisse is the bet.
I'm so pleased that one of us has gone for Henry Matisse, though, because I love this horse. I was so tempted. But then I just thought, if this race does cut up, I just want to be with Field of Gold. And at that current price, which I thought was about right. But yeah, Field of Gold, though.
It's going to be a fascinating tactical battle, because I think both Ballydoyle and Juddmonte have got potential pacemakers in there. And we shouldn't forget, this is going to be a huge week for Colin Keane.
Yeah.
So many pressure rides. And look, we know Colin Keane is a quality rider, but his knowledge of the British tracks isn't as strong as the Irish tracks. And pressure does weird things to the best of individuals. So, look, I obviously hope everything goes well for Colin Keane, but it's just going to be interesting to see how he reacts. We're going to get a really good look at him now, because the Irish have been raving about him for years, you know, mentioned in the same breath as Mick Kinnan and whatnot. I'm not quite sure he's there yet. Well, he's definitely not there yet. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he adapts to this new role.
But you're hoping that he will learn the tracks in the first race, on the first day, though, of Royal Ascot.
Yeah, so if Colin, if you could just win the first race on lead artist, and then, you know, after that, then
and then drift off.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah, be resting on your laurels there after Colin Keane. So, yeah, he's fickle, is Declan Rix, but we will see.
But don't go anywhere, because I might need you for the Commonwealth Cup.
Might do. Yeah, stay tuned then, Colin Keane, for that. Right, that is Tuesday then. We're going to leave that where it is and move on to Wednesday, day 2. And we're going to go to the 420, the Group 1 Prince of Wales Stakes, 4-year-olds and over 10 furlongs. So Wednesday's highlight, Los Angeles, aiming to give Aidan O'Brien a 6th win in the race. So, Dec, you're going to make the case for him?
Yes, I'm with Los Angeles here, and I hope his stable make continuous runs as a pacemaker, because I think he's going to need a gallop to run at, because obviously we saw him last year. He was very comfortable over 12 furlongs, wasn't he? And I think this guy is a little bit like Henry Matisse. We don't really know kind of where his bottom is at the moment. I think he gets to the front and he just does bare minimum. Now, if viewers remember correctly, I'm not sure if we have viewers that kind of regularly view. I don't know, but if people did watch, we might have one or two. If people did watch the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe preview we did last year, I put him up in the Prix de l'Arc, but just he had to go and make his own running, and I just don't think he's that kind of horse. I think he's a big high cruiser who could just go a lovely gallop there, sitting in behind a horse, getting a good lead. But once he gets to the front, you know, he does very little, and you know, having to go and make his own running in the Prix de l'Arc just wasn't really suitable. The other fact with that is the ground there was probably a little bit softer than ideal as well. He's going to get his ground at Ascot, and it's a stiff 10 at Ascot, so I think he'll do for me. But it's a really competitive race. There's 3 or 4 in here that you give a good chance of winning. But I'm just hoping this beautiful, beautiful horse can go on and develop again, because he just looks the type of horse. Again, I mentioned lead artist physique. He's a similar stature, you know, big, imposing, probably takes his training well, the type of horse to really thrive off his racing. And that Aidan O'Brien is quite a good trainer going places, so I'll have him on my side.
Yeah, he is. It's like you say, who knows what he'll amount to in time. But yeah, Los Angeles with that pedigree to boot as well. He is so flashy and just another really good-looking Ballydoyle inmate, isn't he? So Los Angeles for Dec. Sam, who are you siding with?
Yeah, for once, Dec and me finally found some agreement here. I'm a big fan of Los Angeles, and I think it took me a little while to warm to him, and then I kind of really felt last year. I think I backed him for the Arc from memory. Obviously finished 3rd there. Dec's already referenced the ground this season. Obviously, what he's achieved, you know, it does set the standard in this race. And what we around 9-4. I think that's a really fair price for a horse that hopefully can continue to go on. And let's not forget, it's obviously always a big week. You mentioned Aidan O'Brien's record in the race, but Los Angeles will be ticking that kind of banker box for the Ballydoyle gang, really. Like, he's going to be the shortest. No Kyprios for them in the Gold Cup, which we'll touch on later. I think there'll be a lot of attention around this horse, and not just because this is a Group 1, but I think it's going to be a real cornerstone to the powerhouse operation. They're going to want to get that multiple winners at this meeting. We know how well Aidan does, but Los Angeles, for me, I think will be their flag bearer, if you like, and could just well put in a performance that I think we'll all be talking about at the end of the week.
A pair of you two in agreement then with Los Angeles, so it only feels right that I break up this little bromance here. With Anmart, who's a horse you know that I have just long loved, and he is now a 7-year-old, which tends to put people off when we're talking about flat performance. You've got a 7-year-old gelding, but he's just at the peak of his career still. And if anything, he's ever so slightly improving with his starts as well. He's 5 from 6 in group races, posted his career highest RPR on his penultimate start when winning over this course and distance in the Champions Stakes in October, which we're looking at now.
This was bonkers. I actually forgot how mental this was. How on earth did he win?
Yeah.
How on earth, like? This is nuts.
Exactly, that's it, isn't it? It was such a rough and ready race, wasn't it? And how, just look at this, like he had no right, despite the traffic issues, to come through and to go and win this. Now, from Calandagan in second, which perhaps isn't quite as impressive a feat as it looked at the time, because he hates having his head in front, doesn't he? But this success was just 2 weeks after a cracking effort on his second run back after a long absence. So it was another big effort for him to take that shorter turnaround from the ARC meeting in his stride to then win another Group 1. And I just love the fact that he overcame so much adversity in that to win and nail Calandagan near the line. So he can handle soft ground, he can handle firm ground. He's just a cracking horse, and hopefully he can put these youngsters, including your selection, in their place. So
well, if it's anything like the Tattersalls Gold Cup, we'll be going toe to toe, won't we? Because Amott travelled up to him at the Curran, looked like he was going to go and beat Los Angeles comfortably, but Los Angeles just sitting out there in front, taking his time, chilling in front, and he battled back. So I'm hoping it's a case of similar again on Wednesday.
Well, I'm hoping it's the case of the Champions Stakes yet again, with Los Angeles all the way back in ninth and Amott winning that. So, yeah, it's setting itself up brilliantly, isn't it, though, for a fantastic clash there on the Wednesday. On to the Thursday now, day 3, and the 420, the Group 1 Gold Cup over 2 mile 4. So, of course, the big race of the entire meeting. No Kyprios, though, this year, but Aidan O'Brien still has the favourite in Illinois at 5-4 as he bids to win the race for a 10th time. Aidan O'Brien, that is, not Illinois, Deck.
Yeah, we should be having a minute's applause here for Kyprios not turning up and being retired. What a horse he's been.
I know.
Love him, but he got on to pastures new, and I suspect he'll enjoy his new life. But yeah, they've got a fair deputy, haven't they, in Illinois? But look, I think it's all. Maybe I'm stating the obvious here, but I don't think Illinois would have been running here if it wasn't for Kyprios being retired. Yeah. And I just wonder, is he the type of horse to thrive over this trip? Now, if anybody saw him at Chester at the start of the season at the May Festival there live on Sky Sports Racing, how big and strong did he look? He looks like he's done incredibly well from 3 to 4. And you've never seen Usain Bolt run in a marathon, have you? You know, I just wonder, physically, is he really kind of made for this test? He looks like a horse who's built for speed. You know, they were maybe thinking he's put on so much weight and got so much stronger and improved that he could develop into a King George, maybe ARC contender. And as the season went on last year, the penny just kept on slowly dropping with him. He's a horse who can get a little bit warm, and he's probably travelling a little bit sweeter in his races as well now. Now, look, he's not a tearaway keen horse by any means, but I just wonder, kind of going up in trip, could he be vulnerable? The Aga Khan horse then is second favourite. I really like him, but he's come an awful long way in a short amount of time. Yeah. He's been busy already this season, and I got sucked into one of Graffard's horses in the Queen Anne last year with a similar profile. Started the season early, I think in February, win in March, you know, win in May, and then just by the time June came, not that he was over the top, but just the kind of the freshness and sharpness had been knocked out of him. But after all that, it's a case of kind of knocking out the horse at the top of the market. I'm hoping Trollerman can finally have his big day in this race. So I'm with him here now. He was second to Kyprios last year, ran a really, really good race. And it's worth going on to attheraces.com and watching this race in its entirety, because Keys Corser, who you can see here falling out the back of the TV, she must have broke William Buick's heart just going down before Swinley Bottom there, because she latched on. Benoit Delisette pulled the two of them to the front, and it just meant Trollerman on the front end had to go that bit quicker. Now look, I don't think it made a difference to the result, because I think whatever Kyprios does, he would have won anyway, but it just didn't suit William Buick, and I'm hoping he'll get an easier run of things on the front end next Thursday. Look how far clear they've come with the rest. You know, the fact that he stays this trip and his career best has nearly come over this trip has got to be a big plus. So I'm hoping stamina will come to the fore.
Yeah, we know he stays. I mean, literally, kind of say no more, really.
It's a bonkers flat race, isn't it? Like, the lads in Australia must look at this race and go, what is going on?
Oh, America, they wouldn't even
America
have
as well,
heard of it. Yeah, Australia, at least they might have a little bit more, but America, not a chance, yeah. Why is he not favourite, Sam?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Kate, and I suppose sort of what I'd describe as a bit of an old-fashioned gamble on Illinois. I think some firms were as big as sort of double-digit prices, and, you know, after what's happened with Kyprios, there was quite a significant move for this horse, who has to prove that he can do it up in trip. And I actually will echo Deck's thoughts once again, really, here, because I quite often will get seduced by a horse that's open to improvement at a trip that is not run up before. But I just think Trollerman, finally, his nemesis has had to bow out, and he's got the opportunity really here to put his stamp on it. We watched that clip from the race last year, and he's just a really good horse who's been unfortunate that Kyprios has existed, really, isn't it? It's kind of the case, and the ground's going to be right for him. I think you'll probably see they'll get a lot closer in price, Kate, and I think we might even see Trollerman. I'll put my hat on the line here. I think Trollerman might go off favourite. I think I think you could well see that. I really do. I think come the off, for me, I think he's just proven, and I think that's what a lot of punters will want. And this is, you've alluded to it, it's an absolute test, this race. It's hard. It's 2 mile 4 on flat horses. I kind of think at 4 to 1, I'm more than happy to be taking that. Listen, Declan's mentioned horribly bad each way bets. Dare I suggest that at 4 to 1, he could be one of those.
Yeah, and I like say 5 to 4 then about Illinois. I'm not keen on either, and I just thought 4 to 1 was too big a price for Trawler Man as well. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and I would almost be heartened then if he does shorten up into favouritism. Won't be one bit
another
surprised.
triple penalty?
It is another triple penalty for Trawler Man here. Yeah, can't wait to see him. But like you say, he's just the proven entity in this race. In fact, he finished second last year to Kyprios. We were just looking back at it. Brian Moore was not going to make the same mistake that he did on Champions Day either, is he? Because the fact that Trawler Man went forwards, made all, and just got the first run on Kyprios then. So they were live to that. And as you say, the fact he was upset in the Gold Cup last year then by another horse coming to take him on, it just went against him and they learned. But he's not got Kyprios to contend with this time around. Yeah. So I don't see one of these young pretenders, unproven horses at the trip coming up to really overhaul him, given what we've seen of him at Sandown in the Group 3 last time out as well, where he just looked as good as ever. So I'm not about to desert him either. The three of us then with Trawler Man for the triple penalty. Do let us know in the comment section below who you
Sam
fancy.
had a terrible go at a pun earlier. I can't believe he didn't mention the big fish here with Trawler Man.
Oh gosh, there you go. Exactly. What? Okay, Alicia Lemon, with celebrations going on. Anyway, right, we will leave puns and Trawler Man aside for now, but hoping he can land the big one as we move on to the Friday. The group... Sorry, I've got the directors in my ear laughing away here. Day 4 on the Friday, the 3:05 Group 1 Commonwealth Cup. No geldings over the 6 furlongs. So, Shadow of Light currently heading the market, although he is entered in the St. James's Palace. But we are expecting him to head here. Deck, who are you going to go with?
Yeah, I'm going to give 2 a mention here. I'll just start with Babouche, will be the main one. But before I go into her, just Shadow of Light, I assume he's going to run here. But so tough for a horse dropping back from a mile to sprinting. You know, I think sometimes these horses sprinting is about kind of familiarising yourself with the game, and you just wonder now, could Shadow of Light forgot how to sprint essentially?
But it's a stiff 6 furlongs.
It is a stiff 6 furlongs, and he is the best horse in the race. But I think I'm happy to take him on at 6 to 4. Jonquil, I think he could even potentially run here as well. He's the same. He's a horse going to be dropping back from a mile down to 6 furlongs. But that is not the case of Babouche, who is an out-and-out sprinter. Right, we're drafting Colin Keane back in here now, Colin. We need you back on your A game here.
Pick and choose.
Yeah, that's it. We're drafting him in here. She's a daughter of Kodiak, and you know, Kodiak's been a wonderful sire, but sometimes he can get really kind of good 2-year-olds. You know, they're precocious, they're good and early, but she's got a bit of size and substance to her. I think she can be even better again as a 3-year-old. And to be fair, she showed that last time out and winning the Lacken Stakes. And she's a buzzy character, but they did put a tongue tie on her at the start of the season. I think it's calmed her down a little bit, but I'm absolutely desperate for Colin Keane to find cover on this filly, because she travels so strongly. She was really unlucky in the Shively Park, how the race panned out. She was out shooting the breeze the whole way, far too keen on ground that was too soft for her. Even last time out in the Lacken Stakes in the small field, didn't get ideal cover, but she still managed to bolt up. And it's like some of the splits she had there, you know, sub 11 seconds, 2 or 3 of them in the race there. She's pretty quick, this filly. So if she's in good order, I think she'll go close for Colin Keane, Gerlines and Judmont. I'll give another mention to a horse in here. Sky Majesty of William Haggis is another filly. I'm not sure if she's going to run here, but she's a big price, because basically last time out at Chelmsford she was disappointing, and I'm just hoping that was a case of her hating the all-weather and she wasn't ready to go. Now, she did drift in the market that day, but she's a well-bred daughter of Blue Point, and this form would give her a chance. She needs to improve on this again, but it would give her a chance. You can see the filly there in the yellow on the outside. That's Daylight, a horse who finished, I think, second in the Shively Park to Lake Victoria last season, and she's beat her comfortably here. but we're getting a big price about her basically because she bombed out Chelmsford last time out. Just keep an eye on her. Not sure if she's definitely going to run, but if she does, she's got with a top team, and she's bred to be a smart horse as well.
And a decent price as well to boot.
Yes.
So you are allowed the 2 plays then, but
Thank you.
Babouche being the main play though, dare I say?
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
I think the prices kind of dictate that, to be fair. But
Yeah. No, I'm so lukewarm on a play in the race this
Right.
year. I'm not lukewarm on the race itself. This is one of my favourite races of the entire week, and it's as competitive as ever. But just in terms of a play with the race, but I was going through it, and I just thought, Babouche, right? She's the one who makes perfect sense for all that. Chair Lines, as is his wont and as is typical of him, he's been fairly nonchalant on her chances, hasn't he? But he is ever the pessimist about his horses and their chances. But she is the one who makes perfect sense, though. But I just started to go into it, and that Group 3 form with her and Whistlejacket last time out, it just didn't blow me away.
Yeah. Especially
Especially when you couple it with her reappearance defeat in the listed race at Cork. And she already had a verdict over Whistlejacket anyway. So I thought, is that just the same form line that I'm going in with? I like Whistlejacket, but am I that really sort of blown away with him?
He probably
Is she
needs
just-
soft ground as well,
Yeah.
Whistlejacket, doesn't he?
So I just did, in the end, I didn't want to side with her. But then, you know, I know that I would be kicking myself if she then got beat and I had sided with her, because I would be thinking, well, all the signs were there for me.
Is
to try
this
and
your
take her on.
long-winded way of saying you're going to have splinters on your arse like Sam Boswell? You
No,
don't fancy him?
no. I am going to nail my colours to an unoriginal mast with Shadow of Light in here, though. Yeah, like you say, the drop back in trip after his huge run in the 2000 Guineas, I'm hoping we'll see him to better effect. He was the winner, of course, of the Middle Park, of the Dewhurst as the juvenile. And it was interesting that William Buick deserted him for the eventual winner in the 2000 Guineas. And I think it was just the doubt over him staying the 1 mile trip. And he was outstayed by the top 2. And this trip should just be ideal for what is a very, very talented horse. So, yeah, for me, it is going to be the very, very flashy Shadow of Light. I know he's heading the way, but I'm just going to stick with him rather than trying to mess about with anything at bigger prices. There you
I
go.
definitely see that. I just hope he's forgotten how to sprint.
Yeah, no, it's a stiff 6 furlongs, as is one of the biggest cliches that we will list off then as soon as it comes to Ascot. But they are our selections ahead of the Commonwealth Cup. Now, before we move on to our next race, please do go and subscribe, hit the bell notification on YouTube so you never miss an episode of Weekend Winners. Right, on to the 420 now, the Group 1 Coronation Stakes for the fillies over a mile. Zaragana it is who tops the betting, but a couple of these could be supplemented. Falakea for Owen Burrows, Kontiki for Jane Chapel-Hyam here, Dec.
Yeah, it looks like the race is going to get stronger at the supplementary stage. Obviously, we don't have that yet at the moment. So whether you want to be back in the Fav at that kind of price is debatable. Now, I think on what we've seen so far, she is the best filly in the race. But, you know, probably marginally, I think she's priced up like she's a little bit of a superstar. Now, she's bred to be a superstar, and she's got a wonderful record. I think she's only been beaten once in her career, hasn't she? Although Basher Watts will say she's been beaten twice.
Yeah,
But I do like her. But this is going to be her first time travelling away from France, and she can be a little bit gassy, a little bit keen, so she's going to have to prove she can do that. And, you know, I just think at the prices, exactly who was behind her in the French Guineas and was also hampered in the race, to be fair to her. I'm hoping Aidan O'Brien could get a little bit more out of her. Look, just we see it time and time again with Aidan with these fillies. You know, I think she's by Frankel out of that good sprinter Heartache, who I think used to be trained by Clive Cox. I don't even know why I'm talking about pedigrees, because everything at Ballydoyle's got a pedigree, but she could just improve again. And I think this stiffer mile at Ascot will definitely suit her compared to the long shot mile. Look, she hasn't got a lot to find with Zaragan. Now, Zaragan is obviously a fundamentally quicker horse, but the round mile at Ascot is a stiffer finish. It's going to be an away trip for her, and like I say, that Aidan O'Brien fella, he's not bad at the old train, and so I'm hoping he can get a little bit more out of her. Again, Sam's going to kill me. I'd probably rather have a little filthy each way bet on her at those kind of prices than back the winner win only. But hard to know what way the market will go with those supplementaries. So we could get bigger prices about everything in there. So probably just about hold your bets, I think.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it, Sam, at this stage before those supplementaries come into the fold, and trying to predict it at this point is no easy feat.
No, I was sort of a tentative play on the favourite, but not at the prices, given the fact that the race could change in complexion. So it's hard to preview at this stage, but let's just touch on Zaragana, because is potentially a real superstar here. I know Obviously, she hasn't got too many friends after what's happened to She's Perfect, but she could obviously boost the form this weekend as well, with her potentially running in France. So it'd be interesting to see the result of that race. I just think looking at her, the fact that they're staying at this mile, I think is really interesting because they had referenced the fact that there was the opportunity to potentially go up in trip, but I think she could be a real superstar, and I think we'll give the French at least one winner on what should be a great week for them. Connections in good form as well, it should be said at the moment as well, which always counts for something. In my book, when you're arriving at a big meeting, you want the trainers to be there or thereabouts when it comes to their form. But with the race likely to potentially have some additional horses added to it, I wouldn't be playing at this stage at what will be around even money, slightly bigger than that, because you'll get a bigger price hopefully on the day if they do turn up.
She's the enemy horse, isn't she? Of everyone on this aisle, pretty much, anyway. So, yeah, Zaragana. She may be the least popular horse in racing at present, but she is a potential superstar in here. But
Basher Watts is going to be down the parade ring throwing peanuts at her.
Exactly. Yeah, well, I mean, he may have a few more peanuts to his name there if they go and win the Prix d'Anne on Sunday, don't they, with She's Perfect. So I'm sure all will be forgiven thereafter if that is landed, and could well be a timely form boost, as you say, for Zaragana. But I agree, though, the price is just a bit too short. Rather than right now, I wanted that each-way play again there. Yeah, Deck. So Flight it was going to be for me, who I just thought still looked overpriced, potentially forgotten about as well. Now, she was, of course, one of the two Ollie Sangster horses to run huge races, finish second and third at big prices in the 1,000 guineas behind Desert Flower. Now, perhaps it wasn't the best renewal of the Classic, but I don't think this looks a vintage Coronation Stakes for all that the favourite could be very good. So, again, she can be chanced to run into a place. Now, we're looking back at her penultimate start of last year at Doncaster in the Group 2 Mayhill Stakes, behind Desert Flower again, and January, not beaten far. She looked really progressive, though, this day, and you just thought, she's bred to get further than this mile. She should go on progressing, which is exactly what she's done. So I'm glad at least, though, that for all that last time out, it wasn't a better effort as such than her 1,000 guineas run. But at least it was to a level that it proved that her guineas run was no fluke whatsoever. So I'm pleased, even though it was sixth in the Irish equivalent, that she did at least, yeah.
She wasn't well positioned in the Irish Guineas, though. They went no gallop, and having, raced far more prominently at Newmarket. I don't know why they changed the tactics on her, especially given the Irish 1000 was run at a crawl, wasn't it? Turned into a sit and sprint race, and I think she was behind, so maybe that's a race you could probably forgive her.
Mark up again then, yeah. I'm hoping that she is just continues to be forgotten about in the betting, though. So Flight for another bit of an each-way play for
Flight, another darts
there you go, exactly. Full circle, isn't it? Yeah, we've got synergy going on here, there and everywhere. So that wraps up the Coronation Stakes, but it is time for our best bets of Royal Ascot. Deck, you're up first.
Right, best bets, really tough. Don't know the draw, don't know the field, don't know the pace, don't know a lot of things. But we'll see. I'm with As4. I think As4 will go really close on Tuesday. She won the race last year. I think you can upgrade that form, given she went halfway across the track and still managed to win well. Just hope she gets a little bit of luck with the draw and around the pace horses. And the first time blinkers, if they eke out even more and she puts up an even better performance, I'm not sure they'll see which way she went. So she will do for me. The next best, and I'll go with Los Angeles in the Prince of Wales. You could make the case that he's fair enough price or he's short enough in the betting, but I think he's just going to be that type of horse. The better the race, the better he is, and he's never going to be flashy. And I'm hoping he can just dig out another victory again on. Also, that is Tuesday as well, is it? No, that's Wednesday. Apologies, that's Wednesday. And then the long shot. Tough again here, but one horse I will mention that's going to run on Tuesday in the Copperhouse Handicap. That is at 6:10, and that's Kildare Legend for James Ferguson, who's got his horses in unbelievable form. Now, he does need quite a few horses to come out, so don't back this horse anti-post, because I'm not sure the horse will get in, although if it's declared and it doesn't make it, you'll obviously get your money back. But really love this horse's run last time out at Haydock. That was the same day as Strange won over that course and distance. And given she's been talking about as a potential ARC candidate now, the times and sectionals of that race were really, really smart. So if Kildare Legend gets in, I think he'll go well at a big price. OK, nicely done there. Right, Sam, over to you, your own best bets.
Yeah, really looking forward to Royal Ascot. Best of luck, everyone, if you're having a play. My nap, I'm going to be on Field of Gold. I really, really hope he can confirm that he is the better horse over Ruling Court in the St James's Palace. Obviously, he needs to show that. We can talk about the ride at Newmarket, but obviously since then, going to Ireland and impressing me over there, I think he will confirm what we all think out there, and that's why he's the market leader for that race. My next best, I think I'm going to end up copying Deck here with the Prince of Wales and go with Los Angeles, who I think will be a really key runner for the Coolmore team this week, and will continue what looks like it has been a great season so far. 2 wins to his name, definitely got the quality to boot, and I think we'll love the ground that we're going to get at Ascot. And now my long shot. This is very much a case of probably we've missed the price here, I'm afraid to say. It's Brody barely breaking into long shot territory. But one of the most significant moves across the industry, I think, this year for Royal Ascot has been the Royal Hunt Cup. And it is the Liffey with Joseph O'Brien now. Now, this horse is a really curious runner. I think running off a mark of around something like 98. By No Nay Never. I'm expecting the better ground to suit the horse. Just the one run for Joseph. That was at Nace when finishing 4th. Eye-catching that day. Left Aidan O'Brien's and has been gelded since he was there. But this horse, notable support across the industry. Around 8 to 1 at the moment. I think it's the best price you'll get out there for the Hunt Cup. I'm hopeful you'll get a bit bigger on the day. But yeah, it could potentially be interesting to see who gets jocked up to ride that runner.
Yeah, really looking forward to that, though. As competitive as ever. Might have missed the price, but at least we've just got it in there to tiff up at this point anyway. Now, I like both of your naps for different reasons. Your nap, potentially for one of my better bets, but my main nap is going to be Trawler Man. So I'm pleased that all 3 of us are in agreement about him in the Gold Cup, who I just think he should be favourite. He's the one who sets the benchmark, and a lofty benchmark at that. He doesn't have his old foe Kyprios to have to worry about this time either, after finishing 2nd in this race last year behind Kyprios. But between the pair of Kyprios and Trawler Man, they've held court in the staying division for the past few seasons, and Trawler Man looked as good as ever last time out, winning the Group 3 at Sandown. So I'm not about to desert him now, especially at 4 to 1. Now, Deck, Asphora is going to be my next best at 5 to 1 then in the King Charles the Third Stakes. And again, I just don't understand why she's as big a price as she is when this year's renewal doesn't look any stronger. Yes, she's had a different prep this time around, as last year she came here very much fitter and firing, but I just don't think that she's got a challenger to beat her if she runs to the same level as last year, for all that she is a 6-year-old now. But we know that sprinters hold their form very well. And Flight it is going to be at 16 to 1 for the Coronation Stakes, a wide open race. So I'm willing to take a chance for the Sangster Yard after she ran such a big race in the 1,000 Guineas. Perhaps it wasn't the best renewal, but I don't think this looks a vintage Coronation Stakes on the face of it, at least anyway. Certainly not behind the favourite, so she can run into a price. And last time out, yes, it wasn't quite as good, but there was mitigating circumstances, so she could be marked up. And at 16 to 1, willing to give Flight a chance at that decent price as well. Right, lads? That is us done for our Royal Ascot preview. So a big thank you to the pair of you for all of your hard work as usual. And we'll be seeing each other on Friday in person, provided that Sam obviously survives World Cup of Darts before then. But top hat, we expect you to be there, suited and booted, Sam Boswell. You have already let us know that you're not.
Yes, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Who cares? One year we will get Declan Rix in a penguin suit. But for now, though, best of luck with your bets across the first 4 days of Royal Ascot. And as I said, weekend winners will be on location next Friday to preview the final day of Royal Ascot.